He has done it again, Michael Schumacher. 10 out of 10 for Ferrari after some wonderful teamwork from Ross Brawn. 4 stops for the world champion. Fernando Alonso in second place. He thought Trulli was going to be up there on the podium with him as well. Rubens Barrichello somehow nicking third place on that last corner. Jenson Button in 5th place. Listen, our apologies, you didn't see more of Jenson or of David Coulthard. The French director seemed to be a little bit obsessed with the Renaults, and, well, we'll probably put that right at Silverstone next weekend. David Coulthard 6th, Kimi Raikkonen in 7th place, both McLarens in the points, and Juan Pablo Montoya had a pretty up-and-down afternoon, really, the Colombian, just a point for Williams. And this is how it looks after 10 rounds. 9 wins out of 10 for Michael Schumacher, 90 points. Rubens Barrichello is now 20 points clear of Jenson Button. Jarno Trulli just a couple of points but behind Jenson. How crucial was he not getting on the podium today? Then Fernando Alonso, Montoya in 6th place. Sato, whose Honda engine gave way on him today, 7th on 14. Ralf Schumacher, who we're unlikely to see for the bulk of the season, if at all again this season, he will stay on 12 points. And David Coulthard picking up points also on 12 into double figures. We'll take a look at that. 158 place 79, but Renault very happy indeed to still be in 2nd place in the constructors. Then BAR cemented in 3rd place there. Williams in 4th. McLaren perhaps with a little charge in the second half of the season. You never know. 5th. Sauber 6th. Toyota, Jordan, Jaguar and Minardi. We talked a lot about the race. I don't think before we see one or two bits and pieces that we don't think we ever expected Ferrari to 4 stop, did we?
I don't think they expected to do 4 stops at the beginning of the race, Jim. I think, as they clearly said during the commentary, they changed their strategy as the race was going on. We did say they might do that, and they did it, and it was a brave decision. What
it was that after the start, and Alonso got away so quickly, and he was so quick in that first stint, they thought we were going to have to do something different. But Alonso and the Renault got away really well.
Very well indeed. We've seen those Renaults rocket off the line many times, and truly was unbelievable when he came off the line. He made up a couple of grid slots. It was a clean start for everybody else. You see Trulli there right round the outside on turn 1. Panis got left behind with a little bit of a start problem on the grid. They leave. Trulli gets hooked up here, blast by Coulthard. Those Renaults are really fantastic. You see, look at the amount of acceleration and the grip they get early on. Just straight round the outside. Squeezes here on Button. Button has to give way. There he goes into 3rd place from 5th on the grid.
What have they got in those Renaults they start so well?
If I knew that, I could make a lot of money down the pit lane.
Rocket powers now. I think we can have a word with Ross Brawn now, whose strategy really won the race for Michael Schumacher. Let's have a word with Ross. He's with Ted Kravitz.
Well, Ross, you've treated us so brilliantly this weekend, and you've treated us to a fantastic, daring strategy. When did you make that decision? In the middle of the race?
Well, Luca Baldessari, our strategist, came up with the idea over the weekend when we had some numbers. And so we had it in our pocket. And during the second stint, when it became clear that we had enough space behind us with Trulli, we thought we'd throw it in there and jumble up the numbers a bit. And because Michael needed some free space to run. And he'd got to a stage where Alonso was holding him up. So we thought we'd try it.
Because it was all about getting track position, and very well judged, because you could have been in a bit of trouble if you'd come out behind someone who was 3 stopping.
Well, we had a pretty good idea when the other guys were going to stop, so we didn't think that we would get held up. Button was the one that we were unsure of, but Michael was going to come out 3 or 4 seconds behind Button, and Button was due in within a couple of laps, so we thought we had a window, and it worked.
And Rubens managed a very cheeky move to nip it from Trulli at the end. You must have been happy about that too.
Well, I said to him 4 or 5 laps from the end that it would look really sweet to have you on the rostrum today, Rubens, and that was fantastic. I mean, he drove an incredible race, 10th in qualifying, and he just put himself in the right position, was quick when he needed to. So he drove a great race, so to me, just as good as Michael.
Well, congratulations on a brilliant race, and thank you so much from us and all our viewers for all the access you've given us this weekend.
It's a pleasure.
They just seem to be a little bit lighter on their feet than one or two of the other teams. Not saying there aren't some very bright people around, up and down the paddock. Ferrari just seem to adjust a bit quicker.
You're just seeing a team which is working harmoniously. I mean, all of those guys are thinking about one thing, and that's winning. And Ross, Michael Schumacher, they're like they're on telepathic wavelength, and it certainly does work.
Well, I don't know what you feel about it. We heard Martin Brundle saying that he would hate to have someone in his ear all the time during a race. They obviously just chat and chat and chat and come up with the right solution.
Yeah, there's something that they've worked on, and obviously Ross knows when to talk to Michael and when not to, but, you know, that conversation does help during the race for sure.
Juan Pablo Montoya had a spin, didn't he? Which set him back, really. He had a bit of an up-and-down afternoon, didn't he, Juan Pablo?
Yeah, Montoya, just a lack of concentration, making a little mistake there, coming through the last chicane onto the pit straight, turns the thing around. It cost him a lot of positions on the road, Jim. Then he had to fight back. But, you know, Montoya's had a scrappy weekend so far. I don't think he's going to remember this one with any great joy.
And I think when Michael Schumacher, when he first realised that this was going to be his race after all, you had looked at Fernando Alonso a couple of times and said, what about that wheel? How, you know, all that understeer and things like that. He was in the pits. Michael Schumacher threw in some quick times, and the race was his, really.
Well, we saw Alonso sort of putting a lot of lock into the steering, and we felt he had a lot of understeer in the car. Martin alluded to it during the race as well. You know, what happened is he came in on his stop there, and that's really where Michael Schumacher capitalised on those outstanding laps he did. He did a couple of low 15s and made the break. But just watch the amount of lock what pours in here. Look, it's an incredible amount of lock there. He's not far off of being full lock inside the cockpit.
Is that down to the style he likes, or aren't his tyres working properly there? Well, what is that then?
No, I think it's purely just down to the way that Renault works its front end. He gets the bite, obviously, because he turns it incredibly quick, but then it just runs out and bleeds lock off.
Jenson Button scored points here today. He had hopes of the podium, and there was a pretty crucial pit stop when he wanted to get past Barrichello, wanted to get past Trulli, and just couldn't manage it.
Yeah, I think Jenson had hopes of getting on the podium there, but this pit stop just cost him a little bit there. He stuttered as he went out the pits, gradually got back up to speed. We had a great battle with these guys, Trulli, Barrichello, Jenson Button. Jenson comes out on the cold tyres, tries to do his best with staying on the outside of Rubens, goes there. He tries to put himself up the side of him and block Rubens, but Rubens just takes his line, as he's allowed to do. Nothing Jenson could do about it.
Michael Schumacher, his 4 pit stops here. You can do that in this country, in Manicourt, can't you? Because it's such a quick pit lane. You couldn't do that in many other circuits.
That's right, Jim. Because this pit lane is quite short, the time lost is quite minimal. But, you know, Ferrari took a big gamble. They understood that they were under pressure from the Renault team. Psychologically, I think they threw him for a loop because they did that. Everybody was a bit amazed by it. And to do 4 stops, and not only that, Michael Schumacher, he's literally driving every single lap as a qualifying lap. You know, he would be physically and mentally spent, although he never looks like it, but that would have been a tough race for Michael Schumacher to drive.
When we look back at the end of the year and we look back for incidents of the year, I'm sure we'll say, do you remember that at the French Grand Prix? How did Barrichello get on the podium, and what was Jean Todt doing at that last corner?
Well, I think one of them was asleep and one of them was wide awake. Rubens, outstanding manoeuvre. I mean, he just comes down. It truly goes to block him. You see he makes a bit of movement, but he just doesn't shut the door quick enough. And Rubens is not one to make any, bones about making a move. He's going to slip straight down the inside. You see Trulli moves over. He doesn't move over enough. Rubens says, thanks very much, I'll take that. And it's well deserved. I mean, it's a fantastic move. He caught him napping last corner of the last lap. I think when he gets back to the Renault garage, he's going to be a bit sheepish for Trulli, but everybody will be very happy for Rubens.
Absolutely. Starting from 10th on the grid as well, we can get an insight into how Renault feel about that late giveaway, if you like, from Jarno Trulli. Here is Pat Simmons with Ted.
Well, Pat, that was a gutting final lap, wasn't it?
Yeah, completely. I simply can't understand something like that. It looked like he left the door completely open. Unbelievable.
Did he just think Rubens wouldn't get him? Martin Brundle said he looked asleep.
I shall be talking to him and see what the problem was.
Well, let's move on to happier things. Fernando second. Could have got first place, do you think, with Ferrari's risky 4-stop strategy?
No, absolutely not. We could see in our pre-race simulations that really our only chance of beating them today was if they got held up in the first stint. They didn't. We quickly figured out they were on the 4-stop when we did our fuel times at the pit stops. We needed 17 seconds on them at the last stop, and I knew we weren't going to get that. But it was good. Good race.
Thanks, Pat.
Good race and a good effort by Renault in their home race, of course. Let's pop into the press conference now and have a word with the top 3.
Michael, a stunning 4-stop victory today in the French Grand Prix. At what stage of the race did you switch to that 4-stop strategy?
Basically after the second pit stop, we decided to go for that towards the back. It was clear. There wasn't really a challenge. There was only the challenge forward. We knew it was optimistic, but no risk, no fun. So Ross decided for it, and it was just brilliant. Not only the strategy as well, the teamwork again. I mean, in terms of pit stop, the guys have just done fantastic pit stops, very precise, very precision, and No, just unbelievable. I mean, I wasn't really so optimistic going into the race, but our tyres today, they worked fantastically well towards the end of the stint, whereas our competitors struggled, and that was one of the key issues why we were able to close the gaps before pit stop and then attack and go for the strategy.
Astonishingly, though, this is one of the circuits with the slower pit lane speed limit as well of 80 kilometres per hour. Did that come into the thinking at all?
Certainly you calculate all this as well, but it's a rather short one on the other side. So I think it evens out compared to other circuits, but it's all included in the calculations. But as I said, I mean, there was no risk to fall back. There was only the opportunity to go forward, and we did it.
Well, as it happened, when you came out after that fourth stop, you still had a 7-second lead over Fernando. Were you surprised by that?
In a way, yes. In a way, not. I was surprised after my second pit stop how good Fernando was able to keep on me, because to our calculation, he was able to stay a lot longer than we thought. And to do the pace he was doing, that was obviously concerning. At that stage, we were thinking we were behind schedule. Then we saw him putting in very early, putting a lot of fuel for his last stint, and that was our opportunity, because his tyres, from my point of view, struggled a little bit towards the later end, and having so much fuel was our opportunity to open the gap we did, and that's why we were where we were.
Well, congratulations, a great win. Fernando, I guess Michael, in a way, has said what happened to you there. A lot of fuel in that third stint of yours.
Yeah, a lot of fuel. Well, I didn't understand also the strategy. I think we changed a little bit the plan we had at the beginning, basically because Ferrari stopped very early in all the stints, and I think we tried to protect ourselves a little bit in the third stint, and I think changed a little bit, and to carry so much fuel was a little bit of penalty at that point. But anyway, I think we did the maximum we can today. We pushed from the beginning to the end. And, the second position maybe was the maximum target we can achieve today.
You certainly pushed in the beginning. It was a great start and a great few opening laps of the race too.
Yeah, the start was quite clear, not problems. No, I started good. And then I pushed the fastest stint. I saw Michael come to the pits quite early, and I keep pushing these 3 laps that I had. And then after the first pit stop, I was in the lead position again. And, when Michael stopped very early again for the second stint, I think the team was a little bit surprised. I was surprised. And after my second stop, Michael was, in front with a good gap. So, in those laps, I think Michael was pushing very hard, and it was impossible for us to keep that pace.
Based on Michael's pit stop times, were you and the team aware that he was doing the fourth stop race?
Yeah, at the end, yes. After the third stop, regarding the lap and the fuel time, we knew that the fourth stop was coming. But even with that, it was difficult to be close to him.
Thank you. Rubens, a fantastic race from 10th on the grid, eventually to finish third on the last corner there.
No, it was a great race, and I must say that people have been very fair on the racing track. I had no problems at all. I had a very fast car, so in a way, I was sorry that I had the hydraulic problem yesterday on the pre-qualify, because being first on the qualify was really a penalty. But I was playing my cards and playing everything I had it. I think Jarno. For him, unfortunately, he made a mistake slowing down a bit too much at the exit of turn 13, and I was able to pull alongside him on 15. It was risky, and then but I took the risk because I thought it was worth. So I'm very glad for myself and for the team that we could pull from 10th to 3rd.
As a pro, what do you say? Well done, Jarno Trulli, or well done, Rubens, or what were you doing, Jarno? How do you pitch it?
I think Rubens is very kind. And a great move by Rubens. Don't take nothing away from that, but I think Jarno was a little bit asleep. Too slow, too late.
Apart from the strategy, apart from Ross Brawn, apart from Michael Schumacher, those Ferraris just do not break down. 23 races since they last failed to score.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing. It's just a very durable package. You never, ever hardly see a Ferrari breaking down. And 9 times out of 10, it's never ever Michael Schumacher's car. And you need that to win world championships.
Okay, we've seen 1 or 2 McLarens breaking down this season. They've unveiled an updated version of their car here at Manicure, and it's gone pretty well as well. David Coulthard finishing 6th, equaling his best of the season.
David, well, were you happy with that?
No, not really, no. We had a terrible start. Obviously need to try and understand what happened to the system off the line. And then, you know, I struggled a little bit in the middle of each of my stints, beginning and the end of the stint was okay, but I was, I guess, using up the tyres quite a bit in the middle part.
But you were keeping up with the pace of the front runners, which, given what's happened earlier in the year, surely is good news.
Yeah, it is, but we're not out there just to keep up. You know, we're out there to try and win, so I think if you lose sight of that target, then you're in the wrong business.
Thanks.
Upset with the start of the race there, David. What sort of message should he send out to future employers? He's looking for a job in F1 next season.
I think he's just underwritten what we've known about David. He's a Grand Prix winner and he's a solid race driver. He did a very, very good job today. Version B of the McLaren is working. He's got to make more progress. He's obviously not happy, and he never will be until he starts winning again.
Can you see an improved second half of the season for McLaren? Could be much worse than at first. Really,
I think it will progress, Jim. I think they will do more development, and they have to if they need to get to the front. But at this point in time, it's a good start halfway through again.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Well, now our last meeting with Team Ferrari. We're going to sit down and talk to the Napoleonic figure, really, the little general, Mr. Jean Todt, this after Grand Prix victory number 176.
Ferrari is something special, you know. It gives attraction, fascination, dream. I mean, there is no motor car brand in the world which makes people reacting with such an emotion. So, I mean, you belong to the Ferrari club like a religion.
You also have quite a responsibility. You are carrying on that legend. It's quite a responsibility for you.
I mean, I'm part of the group carrying on the legend, that is true. And I mean, on my side since 11 years now, which is a record, and I must say I'm quite proud of that, because I mean, working at Ferrari is not easy. You know, you have a lot of pressure, you have a lot of tension, and sometimes, mainly when things did not go as well as they do now, you have to resist, and sometimes you find yourself some strength you will never imagine. So, I mean, on that is special too. But we have really created a fantastic harmony, fantastic team spirit, respect. You know, respect is something very important. We're in a world where respect does not exist very often. But in our group, I mean, respect is essential. And with Michael, there is a kind of combination of respect, admiration, sharing of common sense, humility, sense of the values, and all that is not so common in Formula One. We are a chapter in the Ferrari history, but Ferrari has been existing before. Ferrari is living a fantastic part of its history, and we live other fascinating moments in the future.
Just to endorse our thanks to Jean Todt and everyone at Ferrari. Finally, like all great winners, Mark, they win and they win, but they retain that hunger.
They do, but, you know, all through this, I think this really epitomises the spirit of Enzo Ferrari. And all of those people there, Jean Todt included, they're all there for one thing, and that's to win only.
OK, let's look forward now to the climax of Euro 2004. Sadly, neither England nor France are involved. It is the hosts, Portugal, against the rank outsiders from Greece. We're going to cross to Lisbon and chat to 4 ITV pundits now, to Terry Venables and to Bobby Robson, former England managers, to Andy Townsend and to Ali McCoist. Over to you, TV.
It's the day of the final, and there's plenty to talk about. The excitement, the drama, the football, great quality, and of course, we have to start inevitably with...
Michael's going to pass you, my friend. He didn't cover him properly.
Wow, what a move by Rubens Barrichello! Yes, Rubens, you are the winner. A brilliant, brilliant drive.
special weekend. We relish our annual visit to Silverstone. We're live with qualifying from 1:10 next Saturday on race day. We're starting at midday. The highlights are at 11:45. Michael Schumacher and Ferrari head for Silverstone in absolutely brilliant shape. I wonder, can anybody rein in that prancing horse? Bye-bye to you all.